Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, entitled Old Hag at Oppenheimer. I'm basically rich, you know? Another lunch thief story. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Old Hag at Oppenheimer. As Karen's stories go, this isn't exactly a barn burner, but here goes. Since tickets for Oppenheimer were incredibly hard to get in my area for some reason, I ended up having to see this movie by myself at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night. Not incredibly convenient for me, but I really wanted to see it, and at least at that hour there won't be too many kids. So I show up, grab some Skittles and a soda and go sit down. A few minutes into the previews, Karen shows up, walks to what is apparently her seat, decides she doesn't like that one, and walks back to my aisle and starts ching at the person sitting about 3 seats to my left that she should have that seat. This is one of those theaters with the snazzy reclining seats and enough room that people don't have to stand up to let you through. The person to my right starts filming her, and I sit up to watch. She's on a tear about how this guy needs to give her the premium seat that he reserved in advance. He needs to respect his elders. He needs to show respect to women. He needs to stop using cancel culture on her just because she's white. It should be noted that he was too. He needs to stop being a lazy, entitled millennial. The reason she gave that this guy needs to give up his seat? She had to go through atom bomb drills in elementary school, so she deserves to have a good view for this movie. I grab my phone and call the theater. The person on the other end of the line can hear her, says, "Let me guess, theater 4? Security will be there in a second, you're our 5th call." They show up, escort her out of the theater, and the rest of us watch the movie in peace. And at least at that hour there won't be too many kids. This made me laugh. For an R-rated movie. Now that's a funny story. I thought the older generation stuck to get what you get and don't complain. Maybe she forgot that. I'm basically rich, you know? I'm not sure if this belongs here, so I'll move it if there's somewhere more suited for this story. When I was younger, I was bullied, badly. I had an awful home life, and school was a nightmare for me, primary and secondary, and one of these bullies was actually one of my on and off best friends. It felt like I was in an abusive relationship with her. She was one of those kids who thought she was better than everyone. She walked around like she knew more than most adults and her head so far up her arse, well, you know the type. She was a bully. She was definitely entitled. I don't remember the actual age of us, younger than 16 but older than 12, but we were walking home from school and she decided to drag me into the bank so she can talk to someone. Now, the whole day, she randomly started going on and on about her father, who I never met, and how he has been putting money into a savings account for her since she was born, like a lot each week. So she drags me in, and me not having any resemblance of a backbone then, yay trauma, sits there embarrassed after she loudly states, "Yes, my father has given me these bank details, who knows how much money is in there?" Something along those lines. There's a back and forth conversation where this girl is getting more and more unbearable. I'm falling asleep at this stage. Then, the employee comes with a piece of paper and hands it to her, says it's the amount in her savings account, and she confidently reads it, loudly, and without skipping a beat. £7.31. Now I don't remember the actual number, but it was less than a tenner. When I was a uni student, I had a good friend. We hung out and shared notes and helped each other with study. I worked in a factory during holidays in a foundry, so I was pretty dirty at the end of the shift. I swung by their house once on the way home to drop off something they wanted to borrow. I had never been there before. The house was an historic old mansion, at least 20 rooms on a block the size of a small suburb. Although I must be in the wrong place, my friend was not home, but the mother saw me coming through the gate and insisted that I come in. She took me into the sitting room. I didn't want to sit down since I was really grubby, but the mum insisted. She gave me a lemonade and a little cake since I must be starving from work. Turns out the family were one of the richest in town, old money. When you are really rich, you don't have to pretend. We are still mates. I've caught up a bit now, white collar not blue, but we still live on opposite sides of the street. The entire family are just charming and generous. The more you pretend to be rich, the less wealthy, literally and figuratively, you actually are. You are the rich one. When I was 5, for some reason I got into an argument with a kid who bragged that his parents were richer than mine. I remember we went back and forth with, yeah, well, my dad has $5, my dad has $6. I said that mine parents had $20 and he insisted that his had infinity money. I told him that was impossible because 20 was the highest number there was and he claimed that infinity was, and his parents told him they had infinity money. In conclusion, 5-year-olds are ignorant. This girl had no excuse. Absolutely love this. How did you keep from falling on the floor, laughing? I had a similar experience, my friend, and I knew a girl who got this American Girl doll, which during the 1980s was expensive. She actually made fun of me because all my dolls were fragile and one was French. She thought porcelain dolls were cheap knockoffs. Another lunch thief story. We had a lunch thief at the office, but no one knew who it was because of the staggered lunch breaks. They would seemingly always just take a sandwich out of the fridge, maybe because it was the safest option, to avoid taking something they wouldn't enjoy. This went on for weeks. Finally, I had the idea to bring a special sandwich every day until they stole mine. Sandwich consisted of ham, turkey, roast beef, Swiss cheese, and a big oil pile of talc powder. I never saw who stole my sandwich on the very first day I brought it, but I like to imagine they took that first bite and looked around to see who might see them as they tried to decide what to do with that monstrosity in their mouth. Then they were forced to chew that first bite and swallow. They wouldn't very well just be able to spit it out. It was obviously their lunch, so they had to savor it. Lunches stopped disappearing after that. To the person who stole my sandwich, thank you for the mental image. To the lunch thieves, you're on notice. To the lunch vigilantes, add this to your bag of retribution. Lunch thieves are often the boss. It's a dominance thing. I can eat your food, because I am alpha here. My cousin's husband, later ex, worked with my dad. He always stole from his co-workers' lunch pails. They were all sick of him. One guy had his wife make cupcakes, delicious looking, except they were filled with shaved chocolate X-Lax. When they hit, he was up on a rail, construction workers, and couldn't get down in time. Problem solved. And thank you, Opie, for. I like to imagine they took that first bite and looked around to see who might see them as they tried to decide what to do with that monstrosity in their mouth. Made me laugh. Lunch thieves deserve everything they get. Well done. I just don't get lunch thieves to begin with. Even work potlucks are iffy. You don't know how they keep their homes, much less their kitchens, and how old the food is. No thanks. If I don't know you and know you keep at least a good safe kitchen, I'm gonna pass. I will eat leftovers, but not more than a day, 2 at the very most, then out it goes. My husband will eat something a week old. Hell no. It's almost a joke. If someone with not the cast iron stomach he has ate it, they could get ill. Obviously that's on them, but the variables of what you are eating is not worth it, and just being a thief would weigh on me. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.